Live now. What is going on YouTube? So today I have Mark with me.
Hello.
And I have Dax.
Hey folks, how you doing?
And today's video discussion is going to be about the Elon Musk, couple of tweets of Elon Musk from yesterday. His first tweet was that the full self-driving price was going to be increasing, which we knew was coming. Another $1,000 increase. And then the tweet after that, which is the one that caused quite a bit of controversy within the community, was the cost of full self-driving would be valued at $100,000 one day. Right? And I think that's something important to note in the wording. It said it will be valued, and he never said it would be priced. He said that's the value of it. Right? So just something important to note. There's a lot of people that are fully against this idea from what I've seen in tweets, where my car can't do basic summon, my car can't do parking, and all sorts of stuff, where it's like FSD will not be worth this. I kind of want to break this discussion up into two parts. The first part I want to talk about is if FSD was an actual thing, like we're talking level 4, level 5, fully working. The year does not matter. Okay, it can be in 10 years, it can be in 20 years. It doesn't matter. I want to talk about what it'd be valued at, like when it's fully functioning, and then I want to talk about what it's valued today. So we're going to break it up separately. That way, we're kind of like removing the whole, yeah, but it's not coming debate, because whenever it comes, right? So let's kind of remove that out of the equation. Does that seem fair?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so Dax, I want to start with Dax because he's smiling, he's ready to go. Dax, if FSD was fully available, okay, how high do you think you would pay for the software?
You know what? That's a very, very tricky question. Very good question too. It's not that I don't, because Franklin and I and a couple other guys last night, when this first hit the news feed, I guess you can say, we had this discussion online, and it was a healthy debate, half and half between. And I see both parts. I mean, I don't want to play Switzerland here, but I was on the fence. I saw both parts of it. I saw why people aren't liking it. When I say it, meaning the price going up, and I see the people that are in the camp of FSD and Tesla and raising the price, like you, Franklin. You know, it's one of the things that when I don't remember, other than yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I don't remember any other time in the last year, or even the last time, I think it was probably earlier this year, when they raised the price in the increments of $1,000, that anybody, other than obviously the people that are steadfast, that aren't going to get it, didn't want to get it from day one, and they, doesn't matter what, even when it was as cheap as $2,000, they didn't get it. They'll never get it. But other than those people, I never saw until last night that backlash from people that are really saying enough is enough. It's getting too much, and it's, you know, it's leaving a bad taste in some people's mouths, that they just don't, they don't think. And you know what it is? I think from having the discussion with you guys last night, and from what I've been reading online on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, is, like you said earlier, people are just seeing the smart summon, they're seeing navigate on autopilot, they're seeing the stoplights and stop signs. They're not seeing the full picture. They're seeing the slow progression. It is slow, and it's slower for some, because some people that had S's and X's for the last 3 or 4 years that paid into it, they're probably in it for more money than anyone else. Well, not the amount of money, but amount of time is what I should say. And they're the ones that are the most patient. But I know I didn't answer your question there in a roundabout way, but it's just, I don't know how much I would pay for it. See, would I be doing a robo-taxi? Would I be doing a side business with it? Probably not. And that was the topic that came up last night in the discussion. So if I just wanted it for my personal or family or stuff like that, where I could use it, yeah, that would be a different price than if I plan to put it into business and put it into money making aspect for myself. So one part of me says I would pay 10,000 maybe for it. And then another part of me says, if I do it for business, yeah, maybe, take out a personal business or a business loan and start up a business, and I'd pay 40 or 50. Am I crazy to think that? I don't know.
Okay. Mark, do you want to take a stab at this?
Yeah, I think
Sorry, it was so long.
No, you're good.
it's such an early time and like what the features are as part of FSD. Like I would say I have FSD and I bought it when it was like the 2K, but I also had to pay for the enhanced autopilot. So I had to pay for both. It's still a little bit less than now, but you could break it down in a lot of ways. Like you could say, I want to support the Tesla mission and I want to try out all the features right when they come out. That's more of like a developer perspective. You could say, I want to get in early while it's still cheaper than what supposedly it's going to be. So just trying to save money. And I think it's going to make it to level 4, level 5. You could a lot of the controversy, I think, is the speculation as well. So like I have friends who would not buy FSD. Like they've seen what my car has and they're like, I don't need that. So I think the features aren't compelling enough to pay 7,000 right now, US dollars, or even 8,000 if you're trying to like say the difference of having this is worth that much money. I don't think it's necessarily worth it now because like even when I've done trips like this weekend, I did a 400-mile trip to Southern California. I did use FSD, but I would have been fine with just autopilot as well. So it is nice to like have the auto lane change and the navigation for the exits and all that kind of stuff. But I don't use it like for parking or for the summon most of the time. So I'd say it's a little bit of a luxury now. It's not as functional for the price. So raising it 1K or not, I think it was just a talking point. I don't think people who, like you said before, Dax, I don't think people who weren't going to buy it are now more not going to buy it, or people who wanted to buy it, I think they would still pay 8K for it if they really wanted it. So I don't think it's really changed anything there. But I think it is fair for Tesla to increase it because like what other car can you say stops at a stoplight? And like you can see in real time all these things that it's recognizing. And that gets updated every couple of weeks with more features that are visible. So I think there is value there. From my take, I would buy it again. From my friend's take, I probably wouldn't buy it because if you're not as big of a Tesla fan. So I think it kind of depends on how strong of a Tesla fan you are, if you want it now or not.
Well, one of my friends asked me in that chat that Dax was talking about, would I purchase it at 20,000 today in its current state? And my answer was yes. Without giving away exact locations, Dax is well aware. I live in a very congested city where my highway is constantly bumper to bumper.
That's not how you put it last night, but anyways.
how did I word it last night? Anyway, having autopilot has probably added 10 years onto my life just from reduced stress. So I don't know, like, I value reduced stress that much, where I think it is really good. And actually, Fred put it best in one of his articles. He worded it really well. He said, the package is expensive right now for what it delivers, but it is extremely cheap if Tesla actually manages to deliver full self-driving, which remains to be seen. If you're confident in Tesla's ability to deliver FSD, then yes, it's a smart buy. If not, you might want to wait. So this begs the question. Let's bring the discussion into where it will be if it's fully complete. And Mark, you actually had a really good analogy with Subway.
So I think like Dax's point is completely valid, that it depends how you want to categorize this. If this is a personal choice or is it a business choice? If it's a business choice, first of all, most of us don't own cab businesses, but if we conceptually thought we were going to buy one, then it's a really good deal. Because if your expenses are so low on something, let's say people damage your car, okay, so you have to put some money back into it. But otherwise, it's kind of unheard of to have a business for like less than a few $100K if it's a franchise. So like for a Subway, if those cost $100K, or other restaurants maybe cost $200K US dollars just to have the franchise. And beyond that, you have to actually make a profit, based off of all your costs. In this case, you would have an upfront cost of maybe $100K or a little bit less. And if the proposal is that you're making $30K a year and maybe a little bit more, that's really cheap actually for a business to be able to make back your money in a couple of years. A lot of times it takes longer to do that. So it seems really compelling if you had one or two just to be able to make your money back in that short of a time frame. And after that time frame, it's basically all profit. But it is obviously contingent upon them delivering it. So I definitely believe they'll deliver it. But like I don't have an extra car now. I'm really closely considering buying another one, but I don't really want it to have to sit around for that long. So it's kind of hard to say, should you invest it now and then just buy it when it's more expensive? Or should you buy it now, let it sit? You're going to have some expenses on it, like insurance and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, hopefully, you're kind of expecting a payout.
Yeah.
I think one of the other big misconceptions I read is like, hey, I don't want to use it for robotaxi, so why should I have to pay X amount of dollars? Okay. And I actually tweeted it out. There's a product, it's an excavator, I believe it's called. It's like for digging, a machine for digging. And I looked it up. They cost on average between $80,000 to $150,000. If you want to rent one out, it's $400 a day. So if you do the math, you can rent one out for like thousands of days versus the cost of owning one, right? So it doesn't make sense to buy one for home use. But if you're a business, it makes more sense to purchase one. And I think this is the misconception that people are having with FSD, where they have to own it because they've always owned a car. If you called the company or any company that sells you tools and said, hey, I only want to use it for home use, I'm not going to be making profit off of this, it's just a business, or just for my home use, not a business, do you think they're going to give you a discount? The answer is probably no. They don't care how you're using it. It's what it can potentially do for you, right?
Yeah, good point.
And then the other aspect of this is how do you, so you put your car on the RoboFleet. People are going to sign up and say, hey, I need to go here. The car is going to drive to them, pick them up, so on and so forth. Let's say your car's not on the RoboFleet. What's to prevent you from, sending it off to a relative, putting a point on the map, sending it off to a relative, having it pick it up, and then sending it off to another friend, and basically doing your own RoboFleet where Tesla's not getting a piece of the pie. So
exactly.
From the perspective of Tesla, it doesn't make much sense. I'm talking like this is if it's fully functioning, right? I'm not saying in today's state, because today's state's starting to become, anyway, I'll get to that in a sec. But if it's fully functioning, it doesn't make sense for Tesla to undervalue it if it's valued X amount of dollars, just because your usage doesn't correspond with the way to make money from it, right? So I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on the 5 cents on the matter, right, Dax? 5 cents, not 2.
No, I know what you're saying, and that was the part of the debate last night. Was some people, probably including myself, couldn't see actually having someone else, like, or a stranger in the car when they're not in there, like they don't want anyone in there, type of thing. And I get that, right? I'm probably the same way. Like, even if I was to go through this whole thing and full self-driving came one day. Now, see, and that's the other thing. I'll get back to that in a second. The other thing is people have to wait for the technology, and that's probably the least of people's worries. The bigger part of the picture, I think, is the actual, like, red tape and bureaucracy and stuff like that going through governments. Like, we all know how slow governments are, right? So we're paying for something and now waiting and relying on government to allow it. And you think it's bad now, once we know it's done and baked and ready to go and everything, and we see concept, and we sitting there waiting for our particular state or particular province or country to allow it, that'll be the biggest killer. That'll be like agony, if you ask me. But getting back to my other point, like, if people don't want to use it for robotaxi, just want to use it for themselves personally, like the example you gave there, Franklin, that's great. That's something I would do for it. I mean, if I could, like, if you got a scenario where you got a husband and wife, and right now they've got 2 cars because they both commute to and from work, different locations, Monday to Friday, but they're difference of an hour. Think of me coming to work, dropping me off, going back home, picking up my wife, taking her to work, going back either home or if you're in a robo-taxi thing, it could work for you all day long while both spouses are at work. Then come pick me up when I'm done, say at 4 o'clock, drive me home, and then drop me off at home, and then go pick up my wife, say she's off at 5, type of thing. So that is something that I would envision that would be a great potential. And it may not be making you money, but it's saving you money, because now instead of 2 cars in the family, you just got 1 car in the family. So,
plus, you can bring around your kid. Like, you want to have your kids go somewhere, you can bring them. I think that's like a huge thing that people are missing. It's a fundamental change of how we use vehicles today, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not making money, it's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. Like, if I didn't have to focus when I'm driving, I can work. As stupid as that may sound,
productivity,
and I increase productivity. So now that's also additional money where I've never really made before. We'll have extra time, right, for my commute. So I think these are all things that are missing within the equation of the cost increase. The other thing I want to point out is price comparison. So just for comparison, remember the Super Bowl commercial? Hyundai did it with their self parking feature.
The smart
park.
Yeah, that. So they actually recalled that.
I noticed. I haven't seen it for a while.
Yeah, so it went out into production, and then they ended up recalling it because the car was spinning around and hitting cars in parking lots when it was trying to park.
Really?
Yeah. Just to give you an idea, getting that with I think it's just that one feature alone, and that's what, like, basic summon, you'd call it, or basic parking.
Yeah,
it's just parking.
Yeah.
That feature's $10,000
on a Hyundai.
Yeah, correct.
Like on paper, like as an additional.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it come packaged with other stuff though, or not?
I don't know what it comes. I just know if you want that, you're paying $10,000 extra. And if you think the features that you're getting extra isn't navigation with autopilot, which, so I don't know. When you start doing the comparison, remember I did this with the price point that Tesla's charging with the premium connectivity.
Oh, yeah. You did that awesomely. You broke it down great.
Yeah, when you start doing comparisons with prices, like Tesla doesn't charge crazy amounts of money for internet usage or for software. Like, it's actually relatively cheap.
Yeah, I know there's not a ton of options on the Tesla.com website, but I always remember that BMW example someone posted on Twitter, where it's like, if you want to add a fire extinguisher, it's like another $250. If you want to add like the special trim or like the special seat belts, all that stuff, they have all these options where you can keep adding more and more money on it. That's not really getting you a ton of extra functionality. Maybe performance was the biggest thing, where you would pay a lot and then you get like a bigger engine or something. But in terms of technology, there isn't really much tech. Like, I know for a lot of navigation in cars, usually it's like from the dealership model, you're expected to pay like every year or 2 years, at least $100, if not more, to refresh your navigation endpoints or whatever.
So, you got to bring it in.
It's true. Yeah.
Right. And then, like, think about it this way. I also heard the argument that, this company is going to have it or that company is going to have it, like FSD, and that's going to bring down the price. Right. Which, okay, let's think about it for a second. If you're going to assume that the Tesla way is going to bring you to FSD and you're going to invest in the software, okay, the way Tesla's doing it, it's considering no competitor has a car in the market that's actively collecting data back. And I know Tesla's not collecting too much right now, but it doesn't matter. There's no car in the market that's actively collecting data back to the company to make a full self-driving software like Tesla has, because they're all going different directions. So if Tesla is correct, the competition is pretty far out to match Tesla's FSD offering. And then if Tesla is pretty successful with their offering of FSD, why would a company come in, another automaker come in and undercut it by 90% or something? It just won't happen. So, I mean, if Tesla's first to market and they're successful with their price, competitors are going to come in and price it pretty similar, I'd imagine.
True. It'll be like a big collusion thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it happens.
there's also the like trust level, because a lot of people believe Tesla is like a technology company, and then also they make cars too. But for like a lot of the old auto manufacturers, they would generally have like a separate team or outsourcing their software. So like a lot of coworkers who have all of the like driver assist features like lane keep assist, the adaptive cruise control, that stuff is pretty standard, but it's not as accurate. Like it can't always detect the lines, whereas a Tesla could, or it can't do the same types of turns because it's not, even though it like visually seems like the same thing, it's really completely different on what it's doing. Like having 8 cameras on the outside, comparing it against a neural net to make the right choice, that's quite a bit different than just like a basic line detection and are you staying between these two lines? So it's not even really the same solution, but they just look the same. And I think that's part of why there's controversy too, because like it's really easy to compare and contrast other solutions out there that seem similar. But I think Tesla hasn't added enough yet to the point where it's going to be like, this is mind-blowingly different. Now there's no way to catch up for anyone. And if that becomes the case, then the price is going to jump too. So it's a little bit of an investment risk at this point if you buy FSD, that you're
Well,
assuming it's going to work.
you just said it, right? You don't want a huge jump. And I think this is the problem that Tesla's having. People are expecting something big to happen, and then between now and the price jump, right? Which I don't foresee it happening. Tesla has to gradually increase the price of FSD. They can't just one day say, hey, the software's ready to go. Let's jump it. It's valued now. Let's jump it from 10,000 to 30,000 or 40,000, whatever it may end up being, right?
They'll lose people. You're right.
Yeah, they just can't. So it has to be a gradual increase. The problem that they did is they should incorporate the gradual increase with feature release. So they released the street light and stop sign. It's like, okay, let's increase it X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And that way people start seeing, hey, this is why it's increasing. The software is getting better here. Here's why it's increasing, right?
Yeah. That's why I said last night, we were talking about it, and I said, I saw a couple people on Twitter last night saying, well, there's got to be something coming with stoplight and stop sign as a huge improvement, or a new feature added to it before July 1st to coincide with the price jump. But not necessarily. I mean, it hasn't been a track record of doing that, so I don't know why people are assuming that.
Yeah. Well, I truly think we're going to start seeing the price going up every 3-4 months. Like that's what Elon said originally about a year ago. Every quarter we'd see it increase $1,000, which we
When
haven't.
did it go up last? Does anyone know?
Last summer, about a year ago.
Was it? Okay.
6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking near the end of the year. I could be wrong. I'm just thinking it stupidly, but I thought it was near the end of the year, early this year or something. But I could be wrong.
I think it's a bit cryptic. Like some people are trying to read into exactly what the price means and why it means what it means, but it's really hard to know unless you work at Tesla, because you could look at it like, are they trying to increase end of quarter sales? Like, are they trying to get a little bit more hype?
Oh yeah, with being July. Oh yeah, I see what you mean with being July, trying to drop it. And Tesla's always been known for that, or accused of that, right? So yeah, it's good point, Mark. But it's funny, Franklin, when after we had that conversation last night, I was thinking, and I'll be fully honest and transparent, I was on the side like, yeah, it's getting out of hand. I think it's getting too high. But since our conversation last night, I was reflecting on it, is the way it is currently now, I see why people, and that's probably why I thought the same way. But who was it? Was it Chris from Dirty Tesla, or was it you, Franklin, or maybe both you guys were saying just recently that they suspect a giant rewrite of FSD coming soon, that Tesla's doing in the background? And when that, and I agree with them. I'm pretty sure it was Chris. I agree with them. Like when that rewrite comes, I think we'll see a lot of things change in terms of how functionality, how it works now compared to how it will work. And I think the speed and implementation of new features coming on board, I think that'll change too.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to any software problem too, because they released that stoplight detection obviously after early access, and then now it's to FSD owners, but it says beta, like just like AutoSteer and the other ones. This is a very new beta, so maybe they're thinking like, after however long it's been since they released that to the masses, maybe 3 months, maybe they can assume, well, 3 months worth of our work at this rate generally implies it's going to be a little bit past the beta phase, in which case it actually is realized value at that point. So it does make sense to increase the price, versus people might have felt a little bit disheartened if they saw that it was increased the same day that Stoplight came out, because they're like, well, is this worth $1,000 if it's not stopping properly? And like, you know what I mean? They might get some controversy there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you brought up a good point, Dex. When Elon talked about the rewrite originally, like the first thing that crossed my mind was they are not going to release the rewrite. We're not going to see the benefits of the rewrite until more cars upgrade to hardware 3. So just when we saw the pylons, people went ballistic over pylons. Oh, my car can't see the pylons? Could you imagine if there was some sort of... And Tesla has the numbers, right? Let's be honest. Like, they know how many they need to upgrade. So let's say it's 100,000, a million, whatever it may be, whatever the numbers is. Doesn't matter. Tesla knows how many they have left to upgrade of people who paid. And I bet you once we start seeing that number increase where, a large percentage of the people got their upgrade, that's when we're going to start seeing all these new features in the rewrite come to fruition, because the number of people, the backlash that they will have will outdo any of the cool features that they add. Just because of...
You're right.
Just because people are going to be so furious, right? The other thing I want to touch on that we haven't done yet is subscription services.
You read my mind.
Subscription services. The world is going towards subscription services. And I say this, go look at any software company. Adobe is a great example. Tons of people used to pirate Adobe products. I don't know why they'd ever do that. They're such cheap products.
Oh, yeah.
At like $1,000, they're like close to $1,000 each program. Like you had Photoshop, Elements, so on and so forth. So if you wanted all of them, you're spending, thousands of dollars a year. And then Adobe said, hey, why don't we go into a subscription service where we can offer the same programs for a monthly fee, and then we can offer additional features for extra money. So Adobe's actually doing way better using a subscription service. And it's not just Adobe, like there's subscription services for everything. My garage door opener has a subscription service if I want to pay $1 a month, right? Yeah. As stupid as it may sound. So from a business perspective, subscription is way, way better. From a consumer perspective, it's obviously way worse because now you're paying monthly things where you didn't have to before. But it doesn't matter. As a society as a whole, we're going towards a subscription movement. So now you bring that into the whole Tesla FSD thing. If FSD is beyond the price of what a consumer can buy it for, and again, I don't know why there's an entitlement feeling that all consumers should be able to buy brand new technology. Anyway, it's totally, I'm going to lose subscribers and thumbs down and stuff for saying that, but I don't really care. As technology comes out, it's expensive. But anyway, if Tesla can offer a subscription service where you can actually afford that because you're not like some big entity or whatever, then so be it. That's the way it's going to be, right? So we don't know the price. We don't know how it's going to work yet, but it is coming, right?
Yeah, it is, and they've said it is. Now, my only thing with subscription, I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised when I heard that they're going to do it. It was probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I was listening to a podcast. You guys probably familiar with it. Twit TV.
Mm-hmm.
Leo Laporte, and he had I forget which show it was on, and they were talking about subscription burnout, how society has quickly adopted subscriptions in every aspect of technology and online stuff, and it hit so quickly, and people did it, and they're paying $5, $10, $14, like all these things, little bit by little bit, it added up, and people are back then, and then just like a year ago, they were talking about legitimate subscription burnout. So I'm wondering if that may hit Tesla. I don't know. It's, when I asked this question last night to you, Franklin, it's like, how much do you actually think this subscription will cost when it first comes out? Because
it's gonna be a high number where, it's gonna be a high enough number where people are gonna still complain and say,
"Oh yeah,
I cannot afford this." And again, it's that whole sense of, hey, I have to have it because it should be available to me. Not you have to imagine Tesla spent is spent and spending a lot of money in research and development. So that's
Oh
not
yeah.
free, right?
Oh yeah.
And someone has to get paid for it. So I don't know. That's
Society doesn't care though. They don't look at it that way. You're right. There are those group of people out there that feel entitled and think they have to have it, and they don't want to pay true good money for what it's worth. But yeah, I have a feeling that people, since this subscription news came out, probably a few weeks ago now, that people have their mindset, oh, I'll just wait and get it, subscribe to it instead of paying upfront. I actually saw and read some people saying that last night in the complaining. But if people think it's going to be like $14.99 or $19.99, they're gonna have huge sticker shock when this comes out.
well, to give you an idea, if Tesla used the Adobe pricing scheme,
Okay.
right? Like I'm just doing a comparison here. The subscription would cost $5,000 a year. So $416 a month, 416.66. So let's round up using Elon numbers, $420 a month.
Okay, and that's US. Throw that to where we live in the Great White North, where like $600.
No, that'd be Canadian.
Oh,
sorry, because I only know the Adobe pricing off Canadian value.
Okay.
So I'm just literally I just use 1-to-1 with Adobe pricing. This isn't like me making up a number and saying this is what I think it's going to be. I'm just throwing it out there, right?
Yeah, that's a $300 US. Okay.
And that's based off FSD costing 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. So just to throw numbers, right? So it's not going to be like a $10 thing. Even at $100, I can see people saying, "I don't want to spend $100 to rent out FSD," right?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on how people would use it because, like, there's the I want to get FSD because I want to try out all the features perspective. There's the I want to get FSD because I'm actually going to use it daily, or I want to get FSD because I'm going to use it for this upcoming trip.
Exactly.
So if you're just doing the trip, I could see people just getting it for a month and turning it off, getting it during summer maybe, turning it off. But like I think most people, I mean, they'll end up paying more if they keep the subscription for a long term. And I'm kind of curious if they transfer that car to someone else, does that mean they have to pay the subscription too, or does it get canceled? Or like if there's extra credit at the end of the month, do they have to pay that or like refund? And then I almost thought the Chinese version that they mentioned on Twitter that wasn't the subscription, that was the loan. So FSD loan for like 3 years or whatever that came out to. That I could see more people doing because then it's going to be over with. And I think that's not as good for Tesla, but I think that's what people would want. So they still kind of have to pay that 7,000 or whatever, but it's spread out across 3 years or whatever. Then that's done. But what if you sell your car after 1 year? Does that mean you have to pay everything at that point? Or the new owner has to pay it? Or the new owner cancels it? Like it gets into kind of some weird gray areas.
That's probably why Tesla probably didn't go in that direction. But yeah, no, it brings up some interesting questions.
I think ultimately the price of FSD will end up where whatever it can earn in robotaxi value, that's where the price will land on. And that's ultimately where it'll be, regardless of all the outside factors. Just real briefly, I want to touch on some of the comments, then we'll wrap this up. So people are asking if you need premium connectivity to use FSD. In its current state, you do not need premium connectivity to use any FSD features. The premium connectivity is just for like Netflix and stuff like that. You still have access to your car through connectivity because you need to be able to use the phone app. So that's not going to be really like an issue. Something interesting that Brian brought up was the price of batteries keeps dropping, and it can be just included in every FSD can be included in every car. So the cost of the car will drop so much that it'll offset the cost of FSD. So if they automatically include it, you're going to be spending more for the car, but it'll still be in line price-wise with other cars in the market, just it's going to have FSD. So just an interesting thought. I mean, I think, I don't know if that'll happen. I think in the future we'll see cars that have like basic autopilot included. And then if you want anything beyond that, then you're going to pay extra for it. But that's obviously my opinion, right?
Yeah, because that's such a differentiator for them, and because it has the potential for making income, I don't see how they could include FSD with the car. And I mean, it's just software, so it's not like you have to retrofit your whole car to get FSD. I mean, there's hardware 3, but generally speaking, any new cars, you just flip a switch and download the software update, and then you get FSD. So there's not a lot of like extra expense associated with it besides just paying the developers.
And this is us, the Tesla community and owners, going through this whole debate or conundrum. Can you imagine when this becomes mainstream for the other manufacturers and other owners of the mainstream cars, that they're going to have to go through this whole thing, but we may be like 5 years, 10 years ahead of them in this whole problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the pricing that other companies are doing for like simple things like premium connectivity, auto park, and super cruise and stuff like that, like they're bundling them into packages where you can't see the individual cost, but you get a kind of an idea between one package versus the other. You can see how much you're charging, and it's kind of crazy. If companies broke down individual costs for items like Tesla does for autopilot, that's when you'll see consumers be a little bit more like, wow, it costs that much for this? Okay, so anyway, yeah. So any last final remarks before we wrap this up?
No, I'll let Mark go first.
Yeah, I don't think anything too crazy. Just I think with the subscription, the key is gonna have to be who is the target user, because I don't think it's every user. Like I definitely would not buy a subscription, but even if I would think I would only be for a very limited amount of time. I would buy it with a specific purpose in mind. I wouldn't just keep this ongoing subscription going, especially with the lockdown. There's no question I would cancel that if it's like $500 a month, and then I would just turn it back on afterwards if I know I'm going to go on some road trips. So I think that's a little bit of a disadvantage for Tesla if they release that, because they're going to lose some people who would have bought FSD potentially, or would have been forced to buy it if they wanted those features.
Dak, you want to?
Yeah. I don't know. No, I sorry, I'm thinking as Mark is saying that, because I never thought of that part of the subscription part before, where you could turn it on and turn it off, because that'll be a big aspect, and that may be something that they may lose by doing that. But no, my biggest takeaway from this whole entire thing, and it was a good, healthy, I liked the discussion. It was very stimulating. The biggest thing I took from this is Hyundai charging $10,000. I had no idea. I'm sorry, sorry, Franklin. That's what I think.
I think honestly, like the reason why I want to do this is just to kind of combat some of the extreme negativity, where it kind of like almost helps have people understand Elon Musk's perspective in terms of where costs are going and why it can cost so much. And whether you want to put your car on the robotaxi or not, ultimately it doesn't really matter, because you don't get discounts for things whether you use partial or not. It's like buying a house and saying you want a discount because you're never going to use the basement, right? It just doesn't work that way. So I don't know. That's my take. I used to be extremely positive on FSD coming soon. The streetlight stop sign thing is curbed my enthusiasm a little bit, but other than it's coming to Canada in the next couple of weeks, eh?
Well, did you hear what I in the Franklin and I have a private group that we chat every now and then, and I made a comment yesterday or today saying I have a funny feeling, and please, anyone that's listening, I have no inside information. This is just me talking out of my you-know-what. But I have a feeling,
his mouth.
Yes, it's coming sometime this week for Canada. I feel it in my bones.
He's the same person who feels that the new updates are coming every day.
Yeah, okay, well, I was a little off on that. A little.
When we were waiting for Smart Summon, every day on Twitter, it's coming today, I have a feeling. It's coming today, I'm having a feeling. Hey, eventually his feelings would be right. I mean, you can't fault him.
Moss believes me. Moss, all I needed to do was satisfy Moss and have him think that it was coming, and not that I was trying to lie to him, I just, wanted him to feel positive. It's all about positivity, Franklin. Even though I'm losing light here, I'm outside in the car and I'm losing light.
All right, Mark, where can people find you?
Just at Coding Mark on Twitter. And
Awesome.
pretty much it. You'll probably see my posts if you follow anything Tesla.
Dax?
You can find me in Toronto.
You know what? Every problem has a solution. There. Hey, Dax, welcome back. All right, where can they find you?
Oh, you know how it is, Franklin. You can find me just on YouTube, Dax M. See, I don't even know this. It's not even rehearsed. I have to think about it. YouTube, Dax M. My Tesla Talks channel. On Twitter, Tesla Talks. And I'd give you Instagram, but I'm hardly ever on there. I've got an account, but I'm terrible on Instagram. I'm not young enough for Instagram.
All right. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this. I'll have more videos coming out this week. I've just been really sick over the last few weeks, so my content's went from like a lot to absolutely nothing. So don't forget to don't forget to leave a like on the video. Do subscribe for more Tesla content. Leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts or feedback or anything, especially if you didn't get to watch during the live stream. So that's it. That's all. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys next time.
Adios.
Bye.